Kale, scientifically called Brassica oleracea, is a widely grown plant with great health benefits. Its consumption has doubled in the past decade, and it is recommended by the USDA Food Pyramid. Kale is a headless, leafy green vegetable in the same family as cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. Kale has a deep, vibrant color and earthy, cabbage-like flavor and smell. Its environmental and genetic factors influence its composition. It peaks during winter and lasts until spring, and it's easy to cultivate in cold temperatures. There are several varieties of kale, like curly, Tuscan, and Siberian kale, which all have thick stalks and veiny leaves, and their colors range from pale green to purple. Curly kale has a bitter and pungent taste, while Tuscan kale is known for its sweetness. Almost any variety of kale can be used in cooking, except for red flowering kale, which is extremely bitter, so it's used ornamentally. Kale originated from Europe and is cultivated worldwide. It is a biennial species that is grown annually. Kale is commonly cultivated in Central and Northern Europe, North America, all the East African countries, Asia, and Latin America. In Asia, kale is widely consumed, in Korea as a juice, and in China as Chinese kale. Kale is regularly cultivated in the Black Sea region of northern Turkey, known for its humid climate and intense agriculture. Kale developed in the 5th century BC along with the institution of selective propagation of plants with enlarged leaves. The Chinese call kale the cabbage of the vegetable garden without a head. Their traditional consumption of kale is associated with their slower rate of cognitive decline in older age. As well, traditional cultivated kale in Central and Northern Europe and North America contained high concentrations of flavonoids. Kale was traditionally used as medicine. It was consumed to assist with dental caries, constipation, and gout, and to relieve lung congestion. There are several ways to consume kale, either raw or after means of processing. Kale can be eaten in liquid form as soup or in solid form as a part of the main course or a salad. As well, kale is used to make pickles, and kale seeds are used for their oil by mixing the crude oil with other food products to make bread or cake. Another means of consumption is in juice form, originating from Korea. In Kenya, kale has been widely consumed, yet Kenyans face preservation issues. Because of its high moisture content during harvest, kale cannot be preserved for more than a few days under its natural conditions, and only 4% of the Kenyan population has refrigerators. To solve this issue, Kenyans can dry kale to extend its consumption for longer periods. Kale is also processed for preservation by freezing and canning. Freezing is safer and maintains more nutrients, while canned foods may be viewed as more accessible and time efficient. Kale is rich in calcium, vitamins, minerals, dietary fiber, and antioxidant compounds, among a plethora of other nutrients. Calcium, a major component of the bones and teeth development, is the most abundant macronutrient found in kale. As well, calcium plays a significant role in photosynthesis and carbohydrate metabolism. The most abundant micronutrient found in kale is iron, which is necessary for activating enzyme catalyzing reactions. Kale is rich in vitamins A, B1, C, D, E, and K. Kale's content of dietary fiber aids in digestion. Kale has many fatty acids. Among these fatty acids are the essential fatty acids, linoleic acid and alpha-linoleic acid. The omega-3 content in kale contributes to its anti-inflammatory properties. Kale is also full of essential amino acids. Glutamate is the most abundant amino acid in kale and has anti-inflammatory properties, making it medicinally useful. Kale's antioxidant concentration contributes to lower risk of atherosclerosis and cancer. Carotenoids have the ability to raise blood levels and protect the body from oxidative stress, and the 45 flavonoids in kale provide cancer preventative benefits and protection against chronic diseases. As well, kale has the highest protein value compared to all cruciferous vegetables. Several in vitro, in vivo, and clinical studies have shown the biological activity of kale. Here are some examples. By using a mixture of bile acids, it was determined that bile acid binding was high for kale. The dietary fiber content in kale is responsible for binding with bile acids to pass through human bodies in a bowel movement. Kale has the potential to lower cholesterol levels and detoxify harmful metabolites. Another in vitro study was conducted that showed the inhibiting effects of kale juice intake in combination with an amine-rich diet on nitrosation. Kale juice can increase nitrate excretion in urine, and it suggested that consumption of kale juice can reduce endogenous NDMA. An in vivo study showed that high intake of kale causes anemia in cattle. Clinical studies have showed kale's impact on human health. Results have proven kale's health-promoting, preventative, and curing benefits. Kale's antioxidant and anti-inflammatory nutrients promote humans' overall health so that humans will experience less oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. Kale's nutrients, mainly carotenoids, flavonoids, and glucosinolates, can prevent cancer. As well, intake of kale can prevent age-related macular degeneration, which is a disease in the retina of the eye that progresses into visual impairment and blindness in the elderly. Also, kale juice supplementation has improved lipid profiles, the HDL and LDL cholesterol levels, and an antioxidant status in hypercholesterolemic. Kale has an impact on many countries' economies since its consumption has increased. In Kenya, there are laws that forbid urban farming, so peri-urban farmers have stepped in and supply food in urban populations. Their farmers produce high-value commodities like vegetables, herbs, and spices, so they cultivate a great amount of kale. In fact, kale is known as the poor man's vegetable of choice in Kenya. In addition to their legislation controversies, Kenyans face issues of pests and diseases, a limited factor in the production of horticultural crops. Almost all peri-urban kale farmers in Kenya use pesticides to protect kale, since biological and cultural control measures do not suffice. The pesticide use has led to concern about workers' and consumers' health, yet pesticide use increases the amount of marketable kale since consumers purchase kale due to its aesthetic qualities. People believe there is a need for policies that regulate usage of pesticides to ensure that the profit-making motives are not pursued at the risk of people's health and environmental cleanliness. In Turkey, kale production is economically significant. Weeds compete with vegetables for limited resources, so mechanical cultivation and hand hoeing are common methods to control weeds since other methods are too expensive. The limited amount of tools for managing weeds is the main constraint in organic production. Farmers use cover crops to manage weed and improve efficacy in soil fertility and potentially increase the yield of organic kale. In the future, it is important to continue studying kale's health benefits. As well, consuming kale and substituting it in place of other vegetables may be beneficial since its nutritional content is exceptional. It must continue to be cultivated worldwide. As well, it is important to regulate the use of pesticides so that people's health are not threatened.